Welcome to Natural Glam Bodybuilding, and today is a different sort of weird video. I'm going to talk to you about the exercise that I don't recommend for bodybuilding for a lot of people. But before I do that, I want to point something out to you which is not going to be obvious at first, but it's going to be a really weird coincidence, and I thought this would be really neat to point out. So last night I was watching a documentary on Norse mythology, on Odin, and how he has two ravens that go about the world. They fly around and they bring messages back to Odin. And I've also been chanting a Sanskrit mantra that has a very strong resonance with the Odin energy, right? So a lot of you guys know that I'm a meditation teacher and I chant Sanskrit mantra and do these different types of meditation practices. But something really funny happened during this video that is kind of a weird coincidence, let's put it that way. You know, for those of you guys that don't believe in any sort of mystical forces, let's just say it was a weird coincidence. So when you're watching the video, you're going to see that two ravens show up at some point in the video, and then a windstorm pops up, which is very much in resonance with Thor. Those of you guys who watched the movie know Thor is in resonance with wind. And then the wind blows a cupboard open in my garage at the weirdest timing, and I didn't realize that in this cupboard there is a Thor action figure that somebody gave to me years ago, and the wind has never blown this cupboard open ever in my life. Like, since living in this house for over 4 years, this has never happened. I've never had the cupboard blow open, and today it did during the exact same time. And then as I'm pointing to, anyway, you'll see, as I'm pointing to a certain part in the screen, I didn't even realize the cupboard was open, and then there was the Thor action figure. It was just a really strange thing. So make sure you watch the whole video to get a full appreciation for it. So not only are you going to get information, but you're going to see a miracle that got caught on camera or some sort of weird coincidence. So yeah, anyway, this will entertain you in a different way than usual. And yeah, I've got some very Thor-like, Odin-like clouds and stuff going on right out here right now. It's like I'm in a different realm. Mountain.
Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Glam Bodybuilding, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about one of the dumbest exercises you can do for natural bodybuilding. Now, this is going to have a lot of hate and some love, because this exercise has a love-hate relationship with many people. I mean, many people have ended their careers doing this exercise wrong. And many people commented in the last video I put up about 6 rep ranges and 5 reps and doing heavyweight. And they commented about how they had some sort of experiences with this particular exercise that were either positive or negative. So one thing I'm going to say is this. YouTube and Instagram has been a godsend for a lot of people out there to get good information, but it's also been a horrible curse when it comes down to people having a pissing contest with each other. Like, it's enabled the ego on a level that has never been seen, okay? Like the ego in people has been so enabled, and their insecurity is so enabled, because that's also ego. Being insecure is also ego, right? It means that you're driven by insecurity instead of what is right for you. You're basically being impulsed into doing something in order to get acceptance from those around you. Now, of course, you know, law of the jungle, law of life, all that kind of stuff. We do need to establish credibility in order for us to get a job and that sort of thing, but it's within balance. You understand? I understand you want to build credibility and be important in the eye of your peers, but you don't want that to be your source of your own value. So before granddaddy here, you know, stops teaching, because, you know, you're probably already getting bored with this shit, but so I just want to get that out there, right? Being driven by accomplishment in order to make a living for yourself and survive is different than being driven by your ego for that accomplishment. Like, your self-worth is wrapped up in that. You want to let go of that. You don't want your self-worth wrapped up in anything, especially physical stuff, because one day you're going to be in the dirt, and then you're not going to be of value at all. You're going to be like, oh, I'm so invaluable, I'm a zombie. Understand? Yeah? Think of all those trolls I buried up on the mountain, you know? Think of how bad they feel about themselves, you know? They can't do anything now. They're just like in the dirt. They're just worm food. So the exercise I'm going to talk about is one that's very common, and I'm going to be very specific about this. This exercise is actually positive for some people. Some. But I think it has destroyed more people's bodybuilding careers, or at least hindered their bodybuilding careers, than helped in the long run, because of people chasing the 1 rep max, especially in this lift. Now, I'm sure you guys can already guess what this lift is right now. Do you know what it is? Guess? Okay, good. All right, I'm gonna say it is the deadlift from the floor. Now, the powerlifting deadlift can be an effective exercise for strengthening the posterior chain, but does it have to be from the floor? You know, rack deads, Romanian deads, I've talked about all those different variations that might be more appropriate for your body type. But because of this trend on social media, and because people measuring themselves with other people and saying, oh, I can deadlift more than you from the floor, people have been obsessed with this exercise so much that they are injuring themselves, or at least they are overtraining the lower back and the ligaments and undertraining a lot of the major muscle groups because of it, right? Because if your lower back is so sore, you can't squat, you can't bend over row, you can't do a lot of things if your lower back is trash, right? So what I'm gonna say is that the chasing of the 1 rep max and the deadlift, specifically from the floor, and the 1 rep max, that special hit combo, you know, that triple. There's a raven just going nuts outside right now. Yeah, okay, I can hear you. 2 ravens. Yep. All right, guys. Those are Odin's crows right there, I think. Odin is watching me. Odin agrees. Mountain. I don't know if you guys know the mythology of Odin. He had 2 crows that were with him that had 2 different names, and they would explore the world and bring information back to him. That's very significant. That's really the information that you're coming here to this channel to get. So getting back to the deadlift, before I was rudely interrupted by nature, the deadlift from the ground, along with the 1 rep max, for some people, especially people like myself, it's horrible for, because I've got short arms, long femurs, lower back is not able to maintain the proper position deadlifting from the floor, right? And of course, your height is also going to play a factor, and the length of your limbs and all these things. So if you are noticing that you're getting exponential amount of strain on your lower back, but yet your ego is saying, I have to deadlift from the floor in order to be of value, you may be killing your bodybuilding gains and increasing exponentially your risk of getting a herniated disc or a torn ligament in your back, or some sort of serious injury that will end your natural bodybuilding career altogether. I mean, I experienced that. When I was 18 years old, before all the trends, I was trying to be a legitimate guy, you know, and I was deadlifting from the floor, and of course I was doing it wrong. So that's, you know, that's the other thing. I was actually doing it wrong even for me, right? And I herniated a disc, and it affected me for about 8 years on and off. And I had to rehabilitate it, and it did get good enough that I could actually train, but it took a long time before it was, let's just say, 80 or 90% symptom free, right? I still had to be careful, but at least I could train through it. So what I'm gonna say is, don't follow trends. Deeply investigate a trend, if like especially an exercise, like say there's a really important exercise or a popular exercise on the internet, and like, hey, I wanna try that. It's okay to try that, but never, ever, ever doubt yourself just because a bunch of people or sheep around you are saying, no, it's the best possible thing. Because what I've found to be true is wisdom is rare. I'm going to put it out there. It's true. Wisdom is rare. And there are a lot of people who are just following those who are following, but they're not trudging through their journey and finding out what is really appropriate for their body. And this is true with all aspects of life, but you have to not ignore your own wisdom. And I guess that's the biggest thing that I want to say in this video, is that don't ignore what's happening in your body just because there's a trend that is saying otherwise. Because most often that trend is dominated by something other than results and what's going to be best for you. It's usually dominated by somebody, they found something that was appropriate for them, and then they said, okay, I'm really good at this, so I'm going to say to everybody that this game is the game you guys have to win, because it's already stacked against them because this person already won. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like me having all the cards in my pocket and then saying, hey, poker is the best game, guys, and everybody gets 1 card and I've got 5. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where a lot of trends are made up because there's somebody that is benefiting from it, but it's not you. I hope that makes sense. I know sometimes these things are hard to explain, but I think you guys would get it. So yeah, deadlifting, in my opinion, and I've seen many guys injure themselves at deadlifts. I barely ever saw any great physiques be attributed because of guys who were deadlifting from the floor. And Thor agrees with me. Now, the funny thing about this is that when the wind picked up and I said Thor is here, I did not realize that the cupboard opened up in the background. I only noticed that actually after I shut the camera off and looked at the cupboard. And then of course, the other thing I did not notice is that there is a Thor bobblehead in that cupboard that I must have placed there several months ago when I was cleaning up the garage. That was like a prank gift that somebody gave me a while ago. And I did not realize that there was a Thor bobblehead in that cupboard at all. And so all of this is happening in the background and I'm clueless to it the whole time the video is running. It's only after I shut off the video camera that this became apparent to me. So yeah, I just thought I'd point that out. Just a weird collision of coincidences here. Yeah, so you saw it here first. Mountain. As you can see, the wind just came in. Hey, thank you, Thor. And so basically, I never saw anybody's physique where they were like, oh yeah, deadlifts were the thing that did it for me natural bodybuilding wise, you know? And the thing is, there are a lot of exercises that are better for sport specific training and that are more effective for you and your body type. So don't be afraid to investigate that just because it's not one of the trendy things right now on the internet, right? But the thing is, if you injure the lower back, seriously, it's a very tough injury to come back from. You can come back from it, but it's very difficult. And even some of the strongmen are saying, if you're not doing strongman competitions, don't even bother deadlifting from the floor. It's just the risk versus reward is not really worth it. And now again, I'm open to you and your body type, and maybe it's right for you, but really investigate that and really be honest with yourself. Don't just do it just because everybody tells you, oh, that's the exercise you're supposed to do, right? I say that with all exercises, really, you know? This is about building your own wisdom and your own acuity, your own awareness with your own body and finding out what's right. So anyway, I hope this helps you out in your training. Thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get home, you just go to naturalglambodybuilding.com, and thanks to the Patreon supporters, and take care for now. Mountain. You guys are really blessed because Odin and Thor showed up today. The wind, the two crows, they're actually ravens actually. Their sounds were raven-like. They're ravens. Who would have thunk that I'm in my gym and nature was calling to me? Natural Glen.